What do you have?
Front had a day.
Defense had a day.
Yeah. Landry had 6 tackles, a sack, a tackle for a loss, and 2 quarterback hits. Mike Keith, voice of the Titans, joins us as he does every Monday at 4:20. Mike, what's up? How are you?
Good afternoon.
That one stung.
Yeah, it did. I mean, there's just no other way to put it. I mean, you walked out of that place yesterday feeling like you let one get away, and that's just hard in this league because, you know, you have that feeling every once in a while. Usually when you get beat, you just get beat, you know, or you win. It's one or the other. Occasionally you feel like you could have won. You had a real chance, and maybe you just didn't finish the job. And then there's some you just feel like you handed away, and that's the way the Titans feel today. They feel like they just handed one off.
17-0 late in the second quarter. They give up the 67-yard kick return. They do get the defense holds. They held all day. Get the field goal. What was the vibe in the stadium at halftime as the teams were walking off the field?
Well, they booed them in their first possession of the third quarter when the Bears didn't move the ball.
Yeah.
And, you know, when the Titans got the punt and had the ball back, they booed them. That crowd had completely turned, and the blocked punt changed everything. It changed the total vibe in that place. And I don't know that we got it across on Titans radio well enough. I hope we did. I don't know if Fox got it across on TV, but that was a raucous crowd. I mean, they cheered the guy singing the national anthem during the national anthem. So they introduced the guy, and I'm sorry I didn't catch his name. I heard his warm up. I mean,
Pavarotti, who knows?
Yeah, Enrico Palazzo.
Yes.
But he was wonderful. I mean, he was wonderfully talented, and he sang a great version of the anthem, but rarely, and while he was singing the anthem, they were clapping for him during the anthem. And so, I mean, and that's the way the crowd was in pregame, and that's the way they were during the Titans' first 2 offensive series when they went 3 and out. And then the Titans go down the field and score a touchdown, and they're still okay. And then Velus Jones fumbles the kickoff, and they're like, hey, and you can just hear the murmur. And the field goal gets kicked, and then the Titans go down and score a touchdown, and it's 17-0, and they're full-out boo. They get the kick returned, and then they have to kick the field goal, and they're full-out boo again. They boo the team going off the field. They boo them after the first possession. I mean, they've turned on them. Yeah. The Titans have turned the crowd against the Bears. And I mean, they're there, they're so fired up, and then the punt block, and it's like, oh no. I mean, I knew it was bad when they blocked the punt.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no. I mean, and sure enough, that's the way the rest of the day went. And that crowd made a massive difference in the Titans' last 2 drives, because you could not hear yourself think. And it had to affect the Tennessee offense. It had to.
Well, clearly. I felt like one of the more important things was that Bears defensive coordinator Eric Washington adjusted at halftime. And he said, we are not going to let the Titans run the football. And I think that Brian Callahan struggled to find a counterpunch to that. And, I mean, those second halves, you just got 3 and outs, a block punt, a pick 6. Like, I mean, that was just it could not have gone worse for the Titans offense in the second half.
No, I mean, it was not good. And, you know, I think, and Brian Callahan said it today in his press conference, if we had just punted on first down every time, we'd probably win the game. And I think Washington knew what everybody knew, and that was the Titans were going to try to run the ball in the second half because they didn't think the Bears offense could score. And they were right. The Bears were not going to score a touchdown. They just weren't. And because of that, the defense and the special teams had to come through. That was Chicago's only chance, and sure enough, they did.
Mike, let's see. Before we talk about Levis, let's kind of hit on this Titans offensive line. There were glimpses of the future being really, really bright with that left side with Skoronski and Latham, and we knew that we would have to take our lumps, right, as Titans fans with the youth over there, or the inexperience, I guess, not youth. But as a whole, what did you think in the moment about the offensive line?
I think it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
And I think what I said on your show last week and what I was kind of afraid of is what came true in the second half, and that is that the offense would look like they were all new at the same time. Mm-hmm. And they did. I mean, the offensive line is new. It's not very old. It's not very experienced, and they certainly haven't played together. It's a new offense, and I think it affected Levis because he doesn't have that sort of rhythm within the offense yet, and he doesn't have everything with the wide receivers yet, which is why I believed that if they could play from in front and just gut that thing out, then that would have been a huge win for the franchise, because I know it's going to take a minute. And I know it's going to take a minute to have Will Levis play quarterback the way Brian Callahan wants it done. I believe that everybody's going to be just fine. But it's hard to say that and to hear that in a moment where those mistakes so obviously cost the game. But it's the same way on special teams.
Yeah.
Colt Anderson's a good coach. Anthony Levine's a good coach. They have a good scheme. They haven't done it together. And in retrospect, would you have thought about kicking the ball through the end zone when it's 17-0 instead of kicking to DeAndre Carter? Maybe, probably. Easy to say right now. Right. But this is where we are. There are going to be some bumps in this way, Dawn, and it's just, I don't know that it's totally avoidable with all of the new. And the offensive line is kind of the case in point, even though Levis will be the one that will be the focus, because the interception on the bad play is the crowning score for the Bears to win the game. But the reality is there were things all over all day, particularly in the second half with the offense.
Yeah. Mike Keith, the VOTT with us, man. Mike, I don't know if you, because none of us got no business doing this. When you downtown about 4, 5 in the morning, you get close enough to the Cumberland River, it's a smell that comes off of it. It's a little funky, you know what I mean?
Here you go, VOTT.
Hit your nostrils, and you like, you know what I mean? I know a good foundational man like you is probably asleep just about to get up, but sometime in my wee hours, I roam down there, maybe for a jog or something. I won't say anything else. But it's stinky and it gets nasty, Mike.
Okay.
That's that defense, Mike. That right there. So when you're going to the games and you see that little mist coming off the river right before you get to Nissan, and it smells. That ain't nothing but the defense, Mike. That's all it is. And one of the guys that's leading it? 2 of them. Big Jeff and Tavondre up front, man.
Oh, man.
Nasty in a good way.
Yeah. And the nasty in a bad way. I want it in a bad way.
In a bad good way.
Yeah.
Well, and they're going to have to carry us for a while.
Mm-hmm.
They just are. And they can. They absolutely can. When Ernest Jones was in there.
Yeah.
You look at the experience of the unit and Jack Gibbons is a third-year man. It's not like he's new. Roger McCrary's a third-year man.
Mm-hmm.
Tavondre's the only rookie playing. Jalen Harold's getting a chance to play some, but the experience of that unit shows up so much, and what they're going to do. And they didn't blitz all day yesterday.
Right.
They didn't storm the castle. They played fundamental football all day long, got off the field on third downs. But here's where they can get better. They only had 2 sacks.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have a takeaway, and they allowed the Bears to go 2 for 2 on 4th downs.
Yep.
So they can get better. The yardage total is one thing, but they can get better, and I think that's what's exciting about them as they begin to play better. and again, when I say they're going to have to carry us, I just think they're more ready to make plays to help you win the game rather than the offense is going to be as fast, particularly in a game coming up this weekend against the Jets defense.
Yeah.
The Jets defense is saltier than the Bears defense, and
Yep.
they're both top 10 units. So this is the challenge that you're having right now, is you're playing a good defense in week 1, a really good defense, and an even better defense in week 2. And so you've got to tighten some things up, and you've got to be able to take care of the football. And, you know, it's easier said than done, but you got to find a way to do it. Whatever the big explosive plays are and the big yardage totals and the things like that, I think they'll come, because I think this coach knows how to do it, and I think they've got the people to do it on offense. But for right now, if you're looking at it just on paper, and especially with the proof that you saw yesterday, this defense can be lights out, and they need to be, especially with Aaron Rodgers on his way to town this week, because unlike the quarterback we saw, Aaron Rodgers has tons of experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. True. Mike Keith, voice of the Titans, with us on 3HL.
So, Mike, I'm sure I'm sure you can imagine there have been a lot of calls, a lot of talk, a lot of disappointment when it comes to Will Levis right now.
Sure.
It was the moment too big for him? Is he too competitive? Does he need to step back and check himself? What do you think really was his problem?
This is Will. I mean, Will's going to play that hard, and he's always going to try to do the extra thing because that's how he plays. That's how he played at Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
That's how he played at Penn State. I mean, that's who he is. But there's some things. I mean, listen, what he tried to do is not a dumb play. It's to save the yardage on the sack. In the situation, however, you don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
In the fourth quarter with the 1-point lead, you don't do that. You eat it. You take the sack. Sometimes you don't do the extra. You don't try to make the extra thing happen. In basketball terms, you don't try to make the extra pass.
Mm-hmm.
All you're trying to do there is just punt it back to them and see if they can go score. And then even if they do kick a field goal, then all you need is a field goal at the end. You know, that changed the whole dynamic of all of it. Will has just got, and listen, Will started 10 games, guys. He's 24 years old. I mean, he's not Aaron Rodgers, you know, but he's got to keep learning that to play winning football as a quarterback in the NFL, that's not a play you make. Now, I believe in the guy. I think he's got it. I think he'll show it. I think this offense will give him a chance to show it. He didn't yesterday. He's got to wear that. I think he did. Not surprising. But that's what Brian said in the press conference in coaching him up, is you got to coach that guy out of that stuff. You know, Rodgers did some of that stuff when he became the starter in Green Bay. Even in his fourth year, he did try to do too much extra. There have been quarterbacks who have certainly done that at times. Yeah. But you've got to know he did it earlier in the game, and that was okay. You know, it was all right. He threw it out in the flat. He saved the sack yardage. Fine. At that moment, though, in the fourth quarter of a 1-point game, you have to know where you are, and you have to take that out of you. And that's going to be the process, and that's going to be what we're going to continue to go through. But do I bet on Will Levis? You bet I do. And do I bet that he'll be a lot better this week? Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Tough challenge too, as you mentioned, with the Jets defense coming in. That'll
That's
be
right.
And it'll be fun to watch that team tonight. So you can get a look at next week's opponent, the home opener coming up next weekend. I know Slay Dog's going to be partying from 9 to noon. if you're not busy, Mike, you might want to come hang out with Slade for a little bit.
I'm right over there by that smell, Mike. Right before you go into the stadium.
You might be busy, guys.
Is this the show you're doing at 5 a.m.? Is that the one that you're talking about?
Well, I'll just now be getting back from Knoxville around that time, but I will be going straight to the VIP Titans tailgate as well at the Bridge Building.
Man, that does sound like fun.
Let me tell you.
A lot of people don't make it to the game, Mike. You need to make it.
I don't think I would make it to the game where I'm at my life right now. I don't believe that would happen. And that could be a danger to my employment, so I probably won't.
Yeah. Why is Coach Matt doing the play-by-play today?
Right.
Yeah. Mike Keith went to hang out with Slade.
Could you imagine Coach Mack on the play-by-play? Yeah.
There you go.
I don't think Coach Matt could handle play-by-play. He's a little too emotional, but
He can handle
anything.
anything. You know, Coach Mack, there's nothing he can't do.
It's a whole lot of West Texas in him. Hey, thank you, Mike. Good stuff, man. Appreciate you.
Okay, thanks.
All right, voice of the Titans, Mike Keith. When we come back, more of your phone calls. We will talk some college football in the 5 o'clock hour. Tennessee with a huge win. Vanderbilt with another win. They're 2-0. Chris Lowe coming up at 5:20. And yes, the Slade just reminded me. You could have done that into a microphone.
Oh, my bad. Coach's show tonight, y'all.
Brian Callahan show coming up at 6 o'clock, hosted by Mike Keith. Assuming he doesn't go to the VIP party.
Hey, it's rough.
It's always rolling. More 3 next, 104.5 The Zone.